Hey there, what's up? Have you ever had that? You bought something online and you're really excited about it, that's why you kind of bought it, right? And then there comes this email telling you, hey, your item is on its way and here's a tracking link. Some services or some platforms even offer that you can see where the delivery driver is right now. And even like, hey, he's only 2 stops away. And that's awesome, that's exciting. But then an hour later, you kind of check again and now you're 5 stops away. And an hour later, you're 3 stops away, and so on and so forth. And that kind of gets annoying. And, you know, by the time that you actually get the item, which might be even like 5, 6, 7 hours later, you're not excited anymore. You're kind of annoyed a little bit by all this, information and all the waiting time that you had in between. Have you ever experienced that? You might have experienced something similar in your workplace when you are assigned to basically concept a new project, or you talk to a new client or a potential client about a new project, and you're kind of, you're aligned, you know what you want to do, and the client knows what he wants, and you're very happy to start, and the momentum is really great, you're really excited to do so. But then comes the waiting time. Contracts need to be negotiated, and the lawyers need to get involved, and then there's this back and forth until you actually come to a point where there's a go-ahead, now you can do that. By that time, the momentum might be gone. You're not that excited anymore, or you need to remind yourself, hey, this was a really good thing, and I really want to do that. So let's get going now, but where is the excitement gone? Today I want to talk about collaboration specifically and what harms it. I want to talk about 3 things mainly. This is mindset, money, and quality. And this video is part of my playlist about the Agile Manifesto. You can find the entire, playlist up there if you like. So let's get started. First, I want to clarify something. I will talk about 3 main roles today. One of them is kind of the producing part, the developer basically. And the second one is the client, which is kind of the publisher. And third, we have the customer, which is like the end user. So those are the 3 main roles that I will talk about today because they are definitely involved in all kinds of collaboration that you might have. And there's one more thing that you kind of have to accept, so otherwise this wouldn't make any sense to you, and that means change is a constant. It is all around us, it happens all the time, and we need to deal with that in a very good way, ideally, right? So please accept change is a constant. Collaboration over contract negotiation. Let's start with the latter. Contracts. Why do we have that? It's basically 2 reasons. The first one is you would like to align upon some key aspects, maybe the payment, the time, something like that. And secondly, it's for when something goes wrong, right? They say, hey, if this happens, then we will do that. If that happens, this is the penalty, something like that. And that leads me to my first aspect, mindset. In the beginning of any kind of negotiation, you sit down and you think about what can go wrong. Right, everything that can go wrong, and you try to basically put it into the contract in some way or another. But what does that mean? It's basically you set your mindset in a way to look for negative things, because once the contract is signed and once you are actually supposed to work together to get something done, you look out for those indicators that what you put in the contract might happen. Right? And that's kind of really harming your mindset, or it means harm your mindset. It sets it in a certain way that is not set for success. No, it is set for failure. And when you want to start something, should you really think about all the ways it can go wrong? Is that the way how you actually are most likely to succeed in whatever you're trying to do? Or should you rather focus on the positive things? Every kind of coach that I've met in my past, they always say like, hey, you need to set your mindset right. You need to believe in yourself. You need to basically believe it can happen. If you don't believe that something can happen, then it's way less likely to actually succeed in a way that you would like to. So be very, very careful with how you set your mindset when you start working on something. If you start like, hey, I want to run a marathon, but there's no way I can do that, so let me stay on the couch. Another aspect that definitely influences your mindset is how you spend your effort. Once you have started working on something and then a change happened, as I mentioned, change is a constant, then do you spend your effort on furthermore collaborating upon the product and the service, or do you actually go back to the negotiation phase and say, hey, we need to update our contract, something happened, We need to basically cover our behind so that nothing bad comes back later on for us. I would say, and this is from my personal experience too, most people who work on something, a service or product, they want to deliver something, they want to accomplish something, and they want to be proud of what they have accomplished. They don't want to all the time cover their ass. This is really covering your mindset, and it influences it in a way that you don't spend your effort in what the value provides. You spend your effort in actually, focusing on negative things, and that's maybe not the best idea if you think about it. Or is it? Just to be clear, I'm not blaming any lawyers here, right? Because their job is to actually make contracts or review contracts, update contracts, and also. So for them to accomplish something is the contract, and that's their job, and that's fine. And I definitely agree to a certain extent contracts are necessary. But it is definitely easier with trust and more effective. More efficient, more outcome, more value. I think you get the gist. So when you want to set your mindset, my recommendation is set your mindset on collaboration, on accomplishing something together rather than talking about how to accomplish something together. Learning by doing. And that leads us to our second aspect, money. Money, money, money! When you have an extensive negotiation phase in the beginning, right, the developer part, they need to actually price that in. So the overall price for whatever item you as a publisher would like to have increases. Although you don't get any more value out of that, you just have a higher price. And that's not really what you should be after, right? The value should be more important than having a higher price. Yeah, I know it sounds so ridiculously obvious, but apparently it's not. There's one aspect that I want to be really keen about. When you're a publisher, avoiding negotiations for the benefit of a collaboration does not mean that you get a lower price overall for whatever you need. The price just shifts. You pay less for the developer part, but in the opposite, you need to actually spend or invest into an entity within your organization who collaborates with the developer in order to get the best value out of it. So you kind of just shift the money basically from not paying so much to the developer, but actually investing into some entity within. And this is really, really important because it leads to a better quality, but we come to that. Let's recap a little bit. We have 3 items already identified. First is no delays or less delays due to negotiation. You rather collaborate than negotiate, and that actually brings you quicker to your final outcome. And the second thing is no distractions off your mindset, but rather taking the negative parts in instead of focusing on the benefits and the beauty and the collaborative part of it. And third, higher satisfaction for the client, basically the publisher, for the developer, as well as the customer at the end. Because ideally the quality of the product is higher, there's more value behind that. Quality. Why is there high quality with collaboration rather than negotiation? When you negotiate, you are in the mindset of, if something goes wrong, if we do bad. And that kind of leads to the fact that you kind of hide mistakes that might have happened meanwhile. Or you try to basically wrap them in an explanation that basically makes that sound nice or worth it or something like that. Which, on opposite, on the client side, might actually lead to subconsciously they might even get that this is just kind of a layer of BS. And that will diminish the trust, which diminishes the collaboration furthermore. So it leads the entire, working relationship into a path that you might not want to go into. Be really careful of that. As you might know, the quickest way to learn is fail fast, fail cheap, and learn from your mistakes. If you have never experienced that yourself, there is a little game that Aaron Dignan described in his book Brave New Work. And what that is you take a bucket of little, ping pong or table tennis balls, and you have a group of people. You have a second bucket that is empty and they are a couple of feet or meters apart. And then you ask the group to basically put all the balls from one bucket into the next. There are a couple of rules with that. First, no ball is allowed to touch the ground. As soon as it touches the ground, it needs to go to the beginning bucket. and it will not count for the end, or only if you redo it basically. The second rule is there needs to be some, he calls it air time. That means the ball needs to actually be in the air, not touched by both players at the same time. Then there are a couple of more rules, but that's not the gist of it. What you do is you allow the team to take 90 seconds or maybe 2 minutes to discuss how they want to do that. But this is the time frame and that's done. It's not a much, right? Usually they are not happy and they try to negotiate further instead of really starting. And then you give them 60 seconds to play the game. And at the end of the 60 seconds, one person counts the ball and the others have 90 seconds to make a retrospective, basically, to talk about what happened and how they can improve. After this 90 seconds, you again give them 1 minute to play the game. Again 90 seconds retrospective, and again 1 minute to play the game. Without much time, and these teams, usually the teams that I played this with, they all didn't feel comfortable playing the game again because they haven't had enough time to talk about it. But still, after the third time they play the game, the number of balls they actually accomplished to put into the finish bucket doubled, at least doubled. They get way better. They get some, ideas how to do it while doing it. Some ideas come out of accidents because, people just throw and try to catch and whatnot. There are several things, and I don't want to give the perks away, but it is really obvious that by just doing it and not allowing too much time to talk about how they did it, you accomplish way more than sitting there. I mean, you could give them 10 minutes in the beginning to discuss, and another team who follows exactly those rules. I guarantee you that the team who just does it, who basically learns by example and tries rather than discusses and negotiates, they are way quicker in that result. It's a really nice game. If you want to know more about this game, let me know in the comments and I might do a video on this specifically. And one argument that I encountered a couple of times is this doesn't apply for us. We are basically the developer and we sell to the end user directly. There is no client, there is no publisher in between, so there is no one to actually collaborate. Well, seriously? This exception is perfect, because there are still, for one, there are ways how you can get your end user still into a collaborative state by, closed betas, early access, something like that. And the second is, this is a mindset value. So the examples with the client and the developer and the customer at the end is just an example. You can as well apply this to within an organization. Let's say one employee would like to change discipline. He is currently in the quality assurance or community management side of things, and he would like to become a designer or developer or someone else. How easy is it for that person to get there? Is this a collaborative effort within your organization, or is this more like, make a business case out of it, apply at the other department or something like that? And generally when someone wants to switch from one team to another or from one department to another, but stay within their discipline, how easy is it to do that? Is it kind of a hurdle? Is it something like, maybe in a year from now we can talk about that, or let's talk about that in our next performance review or appraisal, or however you call that, if you still use that. Is this a collaborative effort or is this rather a negotiation? That's kind of the essence. And if it's a negotiation part, you will lose a lot. You need something like a collaboration or an item or their support or whatever from another department. How easy is it easy? Yeah. How easy is it to get that? Do you need to fill out a form and send it across and then you basically wait? Which is even worse than negotiating, because you kind of hope that whatever you wrote down there is self-explanatory and you can't even negotiate yourself. Or can you just get over there and say, hey, I need something, can we quickly talk about it? This is really the essence of it. If collaboration is the highest value in your organization, at least it's higher value than negotiation, I think you are set up for success. Now, how can you improve this aspect within your environment? First of all, lead by example. This is really important. You need to basically initiate that. If nobody initiates it, it will not happen. And you shouldn't initiate that by talking and discussing about it, like negotiating about it. No, you should just do it, and it's possible. But you need a couple of things. First of them, you need trust. And trust, there's a very awesome tool developed by Michael Sahota and Olaf Livitz. I will put a link down in the description, and here's a nice picture about it. That actually says that people should be or need to be vulnerable, or they need to be able to be vulnerable in an organization so that they can be authentic in that organization. When they are authentic in that organization, this leads to an environment of safety and therefore trust. You really need to trust to collaborate. If there is no trust, you cannot really collaborate, because you will always think about the negative things that happen, and that shouldn't be the case. Second one is you need to get in an environment where you are willing to share risk. You take a little bit of risk, and there is risk on the other side. And this is always the case with any kind of collaboration. So if you're not comfortable with taking that risk, go back to the VAST cycle and try that. And third, you need to get the commitment from whoever you want to collaborate with that they want to collaborate to. If the client is not willing to collaborate, if they want to negotiate, you can't do it. You can maybe not work with that client, or you can, at least make a little project, like a prototyping project of some sort, and just try it a little bit. Show him the beauty of collaborating over negotiating, and involve him into that. As well, share this video with that person so that they get a better idea about the subject and what you're trying to actually accomplish. And one of the outcomes of a very collaborative environment is the organizational health cycle, which describes that when you get engaged members of your organization, and the members will be way more engaged if the momentum is still there, if they're still really excited about it, right? You need to get them in this engaged state. This is when they will try to do whatever they can to make a success out of it. And that leads to delighted customers, because the value of the product is just way better. There's more value into that, and the quality of it is way better. So you delight your customers with that. And delighted customers are very loyal. So they basically assure the success of your organization. Whether it's financial success or just the success in the sense of whatever they want to accomplish is accomplished. So this organizational health cycle is really important, and you want to get there. And how you get there is by collaboration. Now last, I want to give you a couple of examples what each party, like the developer and the client, should commit to and what they shouldn't commit to. Let's start with the developer. The developer should not commit to any kind of time or deadline. And they should not commit to any kind of precise content. The publisher, on the other hand, should not need to commit to any kind of long-term financial commitment. Shared risk. The developer should commit to giving the best effort. Basically working as efficient and productive as they can on that project. They should commit to transparency, so that the client always has access to the current status of whatever it is they're working on. They should accept change requests from the client at any point in the project, if it increases the value for the customer at the end. And they need to commit to an easy and quick termination of the collaboration relation. Yeah, I go with that. The client need to commit to trust. And this is more an internal commitment. They really need to start trusting the other party, otherwise collaboration, And they need to commit time. They need to frequently, actually daily, collaborate with the client. They have access, they have transparency, so they need to be on board with that. They need to commit to an eye-to-eye collaboration. It's not a top-down thing where I tell you what it is. No, it is a collaboration, so it's really eye-to-eye. And they need to commit to provide guidance from their side. So it's not telling, it's guiding. If you don't know the difference, let me know in the comments and I will explain it. And that's the essence of why collaboration is way more valuable than negotiation, and it leads to better products, higher customer satisfaction, and in essence, organizational success. If you like that video, hit the like button. If you want to see more of those, please subscribe and crush the bell so that you're informed about all new videos coming up. And if you disagree, if you agree, if you want to know something else similar or anything in regards to the Agile sphere, let me know down in the comments and I'm happy to provide that. Have a great time.
She does. Well, isn't that nice? Well, we'd like to go sometime too, wouldn't we?